I was working a decade back with my mentor in an employability skills setup, and the gap we felt was that there were people who wanted employment, and there were companies, corporates who wanted to employ people who can perform at work. And there was a gap because our education curriculum was kind of outdated and was not in line with what the current job scenario needed. So we try to kind of give them bridge that gap between what between people and employable people,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, that was quite a lot of learning into how people actually think. So
That's actually like a big problem. मतलब दोनों प्रॉब्लम है. एक साइड लोगों को जॉब नहीं मिल रही है और दूसरे साइड कंपनीज बोल रहे कि वी आर नॉट फाइंडिंग
you're
गुड
not,
एम्प्लॉयज. So
yeah.
what's happening is that rather than just giving people jobs and expecting some training company to train employees and then send them to the companies, companies have to take that responsibility. Like every company needs a sales team, every
Yeah, yeah.
company needs marketing, everyone needs whatever it's for their industry.
I mean, we are,
They will need training also.
yeah, I mean, a decade later, we are facing the same issue. I mean, that's a challenge that we see in our industry also. That now today we are working on, and this is more from a technical standpoint, but we are working on certain technologies. Like we use certain programming languages, we use certain tools, libraries. We find that most colleges do not have that, the same. I mean, they are using slightly outdated curriculum. So what we
Not
are
slightly.
quite a lot. But yeah, I mean, so but then they are open to ideas. I mean, you can't change the curriculum so early. We recognize that. So what we are trying to do as an organization also is we try to work closely with a few with limited colleges, the ones we can, the ones which our bandwidth allow, and try to kind of work closely with by doing workshops, or by having some sort of an engagement session. So वहाँ पे भी you can say that this is what you need to do, this is what we want, or what other organizations need from an individual, and
Yeah.
probably that can help them kind of bridge that gap in the college itself. But yeah, I think it's a problem, and it's still going to be for a long period of time.
Yeah, like even while hiring, like I never look at उसने क्या पढ़ाई किया, उसने क्या ये किया, वो किया. Like I'll see what they have done actually, and that's what matters.
It's a very interesting point. I mean, one thing I'd learned early on in life was that you hire or fire for the attitude. You train for skills. I mean, skills
Yeah,
can
yeah.
be
Skills
learned.
can be taught to anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, what we have observed is that, and that has been validated also, because some of the best people in my organization have not really gone through a formal curriculum. कि अच्छा, this you do, I mean, do the standard things that people have done, and they have probably done an open studied in open university, or sometimes did a commerce, and then we learned the skills on from Udemy or something. But it's the attitude that matters, so that keeps them growing.
Do you think the formal education system, as it is now, if a change maker were to come, would they allow it to happen?
To allow what to happen?
To like essentially, so you could say right now it's exploiting kids only. You could say, meaning with what they are teaching and then what benefit they're getting. Like इतना spend करके भी मुझे एक job नहीं मिल रहा है, या जो झाड़ू पोता कर रहा है उतना ही job salary मिल रहा है,
हाँ.
तो मैं इतना पैसा मैं क्यों spend करूँ? कोई एक practical framework लेके आएगा. So will the, like I'm talking about the formal like governmental bodies and the huge like schooling companies and all those universities, would they allow it to happen?
Uh, yeah, that's fair. So first of all, I mean, I don't think that the government, is doing this intentionally. It's like we are a very big country, right? So the decisions can't happen so quickly. I mean, just to give an example, UAE is a very small country. They started with they did something called Smart Pass. I'm just giving you an example why that's beneficial. They started something called Smart Pass, and that was like their identity card. And then in a few years they scrapped it. They brought out UAE Pass. Imagine doing that in India. Like Aadhaar itself was a decade long exercise, just getting Aadhaar on board. So things are, since we are an elephant, right, as a country, it's very difficult to make changes to the curriculum, and which is why we are outdated. Having said that, I do agree that current organizations or educational organizations do not have a you know a, are not going to be benefited if the education curriculum improves, because there is a huge amount of industry which is focused on secondary and tertiary education, which is like your tuition classes. There are coaching classes for coaching for a particular, to get into coaching classes, right? That, so you have those education classes which currently are floundering because the education system is broken. So it's not in their benefit to for the system to be good. There are schools which are saying that you should not have tuition classes. We'll teach you very well. That's a great thing. I mean, in fact, I feel homeschooling is a great thing.
I was homeschooled actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah. For
I
2 years, not much. But
You found, did you like that? I mean, how was your experience there?
I did, but homeschooling is something where if the student is not accountable for themselves, it's not going to work. Like
Yeah.
otherwise, it's वो school ही हो गया, but कोई बाहर से coach आ रहा है. I didn't have any coach or teacher or anything.
Your parents?
Even not my parents also. Like I was self-studying, that
Okay.
kind of a thing. So yeah, unless that is not there, it's difficult for it to work. And like if you don't have a clear purpose, it won't work.
True.
Yeah.
No, but people have different paces at which they learn, right?
Yeah, true.
So I think that way homeschooling is good because you can follow your pace. I mean, I was probably good in math, but not as good in geography. I need more time to do the same thing there, to finish the same curriculum there.
But in
Schools don't.
homeschooling, like what would you say to the lack of like social interaction? How do you fix that?
You Homeschooling gives you a lot of time to do other activities, right? You can go for swimming, you can go for a couple of sports, not even one. I mean, uh, you always make friends there. You always can gain social skills there. Uh, I mean, today the world is more connected. You have social media. I mean, it's easy to get a social, sphere, like to be part of an ecosystem now, as compared to earlier. So schooling doesn't necessarily have to be the place where which is your only source of socialization.
आपने बोला the world is more connected.
Yeah.
Then why is loneliness increasing?
That is the dichotomy.
What do you think? What do you think?
I mean, the connections are more superficial right now. There is something I call as a Facebook effect. So what happens is, if you look at social media, and our lives have both good parts and bad parts. I mean, maybe you're slogging for 10 hours and then you're going home, you're maybe partying for once in a week. But when you put it on social media, you only put the photographs where you are having fun or where you are doing something amazing. And for anyone else looking at your social media, the perception is that this is what this is what your life is, right? So they extrapolate your life to be that part. So in comparison, their lives start looking sadder,
Yeah.
right? So then somewhere you are unable to relate to those people also. So, and it's scientifically proven that you can only have 5 close friends.
Only 5.
Yeah, close friends.
Okay.
I mean, the most extrovert person may have 50 friends, but he'll only be close to 5. That's how much your mental, and this is just something I've read, so I'm not sure exact, but that's what it says, that you can only be very close to 5 people, right? So somewhere people have not changed. It's just that social media has connected people. I mean, it has given avenues to connect people, but at the same time brought in a lot of insecurities, which is where the loneliness comes into place, is what I feel.
How do you use social media?
Oh, I use it to spy on people. Mostly, I'm more of an. So there are multiple social media. There is Facebook, which I hardly use. There is Instagram, which gives. Which helps me just look at what people I know are doing. So it just keeps me updated in their life. That's great. I'm not big onto that. LinkedIn is something where so far I like the exchange of ideas that are coming there. It's more civil, it's slightly more diplomatic, but it's a good medium. I hope it remains the way it is. So yeah, I mean LinkedIn, I like to have more interactions there. But are there any other social media platforms? I doubt. There's Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter,
It's a
YouTube, and
nice,
all.
yeah, yeah. So Twitter is another good place. It's hilarious, honestly. The exchanges that happen there. YouTube is more from a content consumer. I'm more of a content consumer there.
Okay, okay.
It's,
And okay, so what do you like normally? Is it work related? Like, what do you do? Like
on
work
YouTube,
wise, yeah. Work wise, what do you do, and how does social media help you? Suppose LinkedIn or
right?
YouTube.
Work-wise, so I'm part of Glib.ai. We are into, we help businesses automate their processes. We automate their decisioning, we focus on the last mile automation, right? So when there is a particular process which needs end-to-end automation, there are documents from which we extract data. We can contextualize that data. We generate some decisioning based on the business that they are. We try to ape their decision making using AI. So that's what we do.
Can you give an example of a process?
Sure.
What are you automating?
A lot of people are right now. Lending is a big sector, right? So a lot of people are looking for loans, and unsecured loans are one of the most sought after loans. Now, when it comes to unsecured loans, where you don't give collateral, it's your income which helps a business or an NBFC or a bank understand the credit worthiness. Uh, how sure can they be that you'll pay back? It's based on how much income you are generating. So what we do is, so they take in some data from you. They take in your salary slips, your bank statements, our system, and they push it to our system. We just analyze that data, we give it back to them, and that helps them decide whether or not to lend this to this individual. So this is one case where we help. We also have, I mean, there are different avenues when it comes to accounting. Now government is digitizing in a very aggressive way. So they are insisting that most of your whenever a business A invoices a business B, right? Now they're trying to get everyone to do e-invoicing, which is you register that invoice with the government, every single invoice, and there is an automated process. So you just have to buy those softwares, but you register every invoice and then you send it to the to your client. So the government has an idea, okay, that there has been a transaction that is happening, and that gets everyone into an organized sector, right? Now the liability of paying the tax, of following this process of paying the GST, the liability of the vendor to do all of that falls on the buyer. What it means is that if today you invoice me 100 rupees and there is 18 rupees tax, so it's 118 rupees. Now I pay you 118 rupees, and when I sell something and I get said, I get 40 rupees as tax,
GST,
right,
yeah.
as GST. That 18 rupees are my input tax credit, so I can offset the 18 rupees against the 40 rupees. Right, so I just have to pay effectively 22 rupees. Now, if you don't pay that 18 rupees to the government does not let me avail that credit. So the onus of you paying tax falls on me, the buyer.
Mm.
So for a buyer, it becomes a tricky situation because it's not in their hands, but yet they are liable in a way. So what our systems, where we come in is that whenever you get an invoice, our system kind of extracts whatever the data is there in the invoice. We look at the QR code that is there, which gives them an idea of the e-invoicing. If there is no QR code, then we kind of check whether this person has to have a QR code or not. Is he okay not having this based on the rules? And and whether or not this individual or this entity has filed a GST or not, all of that can be determined, and that happens at the click of a button. Like, it takes us maybe 30 to 40 seconds to determine all of this.
How do you get ideas to like develop such a thing?
Oh, this, I mean, working closely with the industry. Now, one of our partners is, Signet Infotech is they are a leading tax technology provider. So, a lot of knowledge we also got working with closely with them. And I mean, there is no other alternative but to just sit with clients, understand where they are facing issues, and just building that. I mean, your product is not built in a day. It's like you keep on adding iterations. My first version of the product is a relic. Like, it's maybe 10% of what we have now. And the reason is, we started with a very simple, with one customer needing one simple thing, and we built it. And then they said, okay, ये भी नहीं है, so you build that. ये भी चाहिए, you build that. Then our partners come and say, this is what customers need, so you build that. They help you with the right sources and all.
Yeah, that's good. Some businesses, they make the full product, launch it, and then wonder why it doesn't work. Like you have to launch in phases.
So that's where product market fit is.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the term they use. But so very ironically, that's why being bootstrapped helps often. I mean, so full disclosure, we have had a strategic partner who's brought in some investments to help us the float. But when you have a lot of money coming in from investments, you do not have to go to the clients because you have money. So you will build some product based on what you want, what you feel is needed, and then when you go to the customer, you realize this is not as accurate.
Yeah.
But when you need money, you have to, every step of the way, you have to generate some revenue, right? So you build what is, you are essentially forced into building what is needed. So I mean, that really helps.
So is there a correct time to raise capital if you are looking to do that? Meaning after a certain point, you've bootstrapped it to a certain level, and then
There is a correct time for different kind. I mean, but it's context. It's the context, or the right time depends on the organization. Um, First of all, if you are starting up, right, I feel some experience in the industry helps. And that is definitely given. And if you have worked some time, you have saved up, and then you use that initial funds to kind of build your organization. If you don't have that funds, you have to take a small amount of fund for you to survive, say, 12 to 18 months. I feel when you get that product market fit, right, when you realize that, okay, there is company A which is using your product, then there is company B which is looking at your product and saying, okay, this 90% fits my requirement. And that is when you are sure that it has fit the market, because maybe product A, company A likes your product because it fits only their purpose. But that validation that it's like a market level product, or it fits the market, is when multiple companies find it very close to what they want. And that, I think, is a good time to raise funds, because then you can scale up the product. You can scale up the distribution. And personally, I feel distribution is the key reason why you should raise funds.
distribution.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
The sales channels, just getting your product out there in the market. So today, if your product is good for, or you as an individual or as a smaller team can only take your product to few people, right? I can daily call 30 people at max, and that's not the only thing I do, right? So I cannot even call so many people. So there is a limited bandwidth with which you operate. There is a limited visibility with which you can work. So you get more people to work with you. get more people from different geographies also to work with you, if your product is global, that is. To once you and you know, every business, when right from the minute you pitch to an organization, especially since we are working in a B2B setup, so we sell to businesses, right? And there is a lot of uh, there is a lot of development that happens even after we sell. We have to integrate with their systems. So from the time between when we first contact an individual who probably ends up buying, to the time when we get our first money in the bank from that customer, is anywhere between 12 to 18 months. So you need those 12 to 18 months to survive that period also, right? Because your salary start hitting, you have to
Yeah.
pay, you have to expend money behind, keeping the business up, keeping, doing those marketing efforts. So that, so your funds are essentially to support that.
So the correct time to raise capital would be like, you have a product, you've tried it, you've got the product market fit, you know it's working for like this group,
Segment, yeah.
and now I just need money to distribute to as many
Yes.
people as possible.
I mean, if we simplify it to, yes, I mean, that is more of a, I mean, what we are discussing is more of a simplified version, but
Yeah, of
yes,
course. Yeah.
yes, that is where it should be. And but having said that, it does not mean that that is the only correct time. I mean, you might come across multiple, let's say you have a great idea and that is not there in the market, right? You want to build it first, and you can still, you should raise funds, because timing, getting into the market, I mean, timing the market is also important. I mean, getting in the market at the right time.
How
I,
who decides that? But
it's just your gut feel. I mean, not
how
everything.
how would the VC buy it?
How
Like
do we?
how do the investors, how would they buy it? कि मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि हाँ अभी right time है, invest कर लो. But I can't just convince him with that.
I mean, people have gotten
People
convinced. You
have done
see
it,
so
yeah.
many pre-revenue companies, right? And some of them do work that I would not even fund in the right, even in a, I mean, in my right state of mind, I would never fund those if I were there. But probably they know better. I don't know. But see, I would not be the right person to answer that, because I have never had a call with a VC ever.
Okay.
So,
Meaning, I think what happens is those entrepreneurs, they've had past experience. They've had like solid like reputation where they make businesses work.
could be, and
In
they
that cases, they could raise before even making money.
could be. I mean, see, I would even trust a person who has had 15 years in the industry, and
Yeah.
they say that, I think this works, it's great. I mean, he's spent that time in the industry. So it need not be an entrepreneur. It can also be someone who's worked, who's worked in the capacity of an employee. But what you also see now is that, fresh graduates also getting funded. Maybe it's their inherent skill set, their capabilities, or their sharp wit that has impressed VCs. I don't know. I mean, like I say, that's an industry I am not very privy to.
Got it. How do you
So
invest your money?
my money, I have, okay, that's a long topic. So initially started, I like to look at businesses, and that's something I'm passionate about, and I try to invest in good businesses at a decent value. But then do not have the bandwidth to do that. So I have a very close friend who is a very a known investor, or investment advisor, called Amay Kulkarni. I just he handles my money. He handles my long-term investments. I also have another friend, Chintan, who handles my short-term investments. That is, he helps me trade on a frequent basis. That's another amount. So, I believe, first of all, diversifying my money. So there is some amount locked up in fixed deposits. There is some amount which is in there is a portfolio in a long-term capital which one friend handles. There is another friend who handles the short-term, which gives me some liquidity on a month-to-month basis. And I don't have a look at it once in 3 months also.
Do you think like investing in a business, do you think in a business you have the most amount of like returns you get? As in like a business can grow like 20, 30, it depends on like how you work it. and it could grow like 20, 30, 40%, whereas your investments are like growing at single digits.
It's a high risk, high reward business, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, everything I do, it is nothing else but managing my risk, right? So when you know, today I mean, my major in my time goes behind this business. Let's say my major stakes are in this business, right? So it's a high risk. And for all we may know, it might become a unicorn, it might shut down. You never know. Businesses, I mean, startups come with that risk, right? So, and all your eggs are in one basket, so to say. So I wouldn't say that. I mean, there is a volatility associated with it. There is an uncertainty associated with it. So you have to, since you have to manage risk, you put all your investments into. I mean, this is how this is what my thought process is, that since majority of my say net worth is in a business, and which is not even public, so there is no number that I can put to it. All the other investments that I have, I try to put it in a lower risk portfolio, because my major risk is my business. It may give me super normal returns, it may not, but I'm just enjoying doing what I'm doing, so I'm just continuing doing
I
that.
don't know. I ask many people this question because in my mind, I just think like if I believe in my business so much,
Yeah.
why not put every cent into it?
Does your business need that is also a question.
Like again, like if it's gonna help somewhere or the other, whether it's like cash reserves, like just in the business, वैसे.
Could be, I mean, that's one way of looking at it, but then your business also, well, that's an interesting question. So, like I said, I look at it differently. I like to manage my personal risk also,
Okay.
right? So, I like to diversify a bit, and I mean, I give my time investment into this business now. I mean, whatever financial investments I had to do, I do. If need be, we would put there. But like I said, whenever we feel the need to do that, is when we put money in.
Got it.
So there are some businesses which work on. I mean, there are businesses which are capital intensive. There it makes more sense. Um, I, for one, do not believe. Let's say I try to grow this, like, me and my co-founder, when let's say we have a 35 people team right now. If I were to convert it into a 70 people team, it would not grow twice the size, because the kind of business we are in is a pull business. Like, people take our solution when there is a need for that. So that one, we have I mean, we get, when I expand the team, first of all, we have to maintain the kind of team we want to maintain. So it's not like, I do not believe in an inorganic growth. It has to come with some sort of a base. So what will I do just putting money in the business, getting more people when when there is no need for them to be part of it. When we see more avenues, when we see uh, uh, more growth, when we see more clients, and when they need servicing, is when I increase the size. So, like long story short, most businesses always don't work because there is a need. I mean, most businesses don't always need capital to keep it growing.
So you said when more clients come is when I will hire. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's kind of like a handshake, right? You keep a certain amount, So ideal situation, I'd want the business to be so scalable that you don't have that the limited amount of people we are there. We do not need to increase the size, but the business keeps growing, and that happens with many businesses. Those are the scalable businesses, right? So we aspire for that scalability, but if need be, we do. My hiring is very much focused on what need is there, rather than just getting people and then thinking what we do with them. Because even people need a purpose, right? I cannot have an individual and then him or her wondering मैं क्या करूँगा या करूँगी यहाँ पे.
Okay. So what is your like day-to-day responsibility now? Like what are you like aiming towards? Like
Aiming towards or what I'm doing currently.
so what you're doing currently
Okay.
leading to what, leading to why you're working.
Leading to, so you're talking about my day-to-day things or you're asking for the purpose?
So look, I'm doing my day-to-day to reach.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. We are document processing company, right? What we, essentially we, now we have we have reached a stage where we are helping, where some businesses do count on us to help them understand how to automate processes, right? And that's a great state to be in because you are part of a business's success. So our purpose is to be that tech partner for as many businesses who they rely upon for bringing in that intelligence in their business. Right now, for example, and we are working very closely with the banking organization. So what we see is that banks are digital. Most banks are going on a digital, and India is leading in that in terms of financial this thing. But they are not smart. Like the banks are not smart. When I say, what I mean is that, let us say, for example, all their data is in silos today, right? So if you have an account in a particular bank, they have a division which also provides loans. Okay, you are going to buy a car, that bank, the bank should immediately be able to give you a loan on that, to service your EMI because it has your financial data. But that doesn't happen. Doesn't happen in most banks. They don't have visibility of their own customer. I mean, one division of theirs doesn't have visibility of their customers' data as well, right?
Why is that? Meaning like they can surely fix it.
It's difficult to fix, and that is where we come in.
Okay.
I mean, organizations like us come in because, I mean, banks are humongous. They have data, they have access restriction. They have, first of all, the data might be in a particular state, right? So this one organization we were working with, their data, their entire database was based on a system they bought maybe 10 years back. Now that database does not have the capability to handle the querying or the processing that they expect now. They'll have to shift the entire database somewhere else. So first of all, organizations, the infrastructure needs to be that big. They need to work on that infrastructure, and that's an expensive proposition. India is not a country which has a lot of money. I mean, let me put it that way. So we work with we work very frugally. So we do not have, so all these organizations, as big as they may be, they work on, I mean, they are not always updated in terms of their systems. That is the start. I mean, that is why their data, and so there is no organization-wide system where every person has the right amount of access, the right amount of data transparency. They are working on it. They are I mean, if you ask me, I'm very bullish about the Indian financial ecosystem because I've thankfully had a visibility with a few more other countries, and I can tell you that it's amazing the way we are working, at least in this particular segment. So yeah, we'll reach there, but it's a process. It's a process.
It'll take lots of, because literally anybody I talk to, they're like, "Hey, kitna bakwas bank hai?" Like people don't like banking and banking experience. Even when I try to log in, and it's like, I'm putting the correct username, I'm putting the correct password. Time out, try again. Like
Yeah.
all these tiny things which.
But there is another side to it, and
What is
I understand the frustrations you are going to, and I think we are getting there. We are improving as a system. But if you look at it, there is a lot of restrictions. We we purchase a lot of we have a lot of subscriptions which are international, and once in 2-3 months my card gets blocked. But if you look at the other side, like I was saying, we are very secured as a country. I mean, I mean, our finances are very secure. We have a multi-factor, we have a two-factor authentication. When you swipe your card, I mean, not swipe, when you enter your card details, you will get a OTP also, or you are asked for a password. So that is a second factor that they are looking at. That's very secure, right? I mean, you do not stand to lose money by someone else using your card. So those safeguards also come with their own set of experience drawbacks.
I'll tell you one thing that happened. Like I was in Baroda, मैं ATM में गया like to withdraw some cash.
Okay.
Cash तो ले लिया,
card
ATM
भूल गया.
but I'm like, अरे यार, अभी if I report कि my card is blocked, they'll shut down my entire account and I can't use the money.
अच्छा.
Then I'm like, नहीं करना है. मैंने सब limit बंद कर दिया.
Oh.
So I could still use UPI.
That was smart. Yes.
I could still use UPI. Otherwise, they would have shut my entire account. Like,
Yeah.
like they don't give you the option. Sir, बंद कर दिया तुम्हारा account.
They
It's crazy.
they have to, but I mean, India also is a huge part in villages where people still are getting privy to digitization, right? So,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people are swindled for their money. So it's good that we have these safeguards. People like you and I can still, may not need those safeguards, let's say, but there are a lot of people who do.
Yeah.
That debit card wala thing happened with me also.
क्या हुआ?
Long back, I just I took the money. I forgot that the card was there, and by the time I could go back and retrieve it, it had swallowed the card. The ATM had, the ATM takes the card. So you put the card in, and you take the money out. Then they just they push the card out, right? They just give you back the card. But if you don't take it out in time, the card goes back in the ATM.
Oh,
right?
actually?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why.
Because
okay.
they think that and that is another safeguard, right? Because
Okay, that's good.
someone can come and take that card away and then start using it. So that is something that our ATMs do, and I realized it after a minute that okay, I didn't take the card out of the ATM, and I went there and the machine had taken the card.
Okay, so
But then,
my
yeah, I
card
had
is still in the ATM.
It must be, unless you have got a new card, so they would have deactivated the older.
Yeah, I got a new one.
So then it's just a piece of plastic now that they won't recycle.
You realized 2 days later, like how you realized?
5 minutes later.
I realized 2 days later.
Okay.
I was like, card किधर मेरा?
No money went out, right?
No.
That's good.
Yeah. Anyways, there was not much anyone could
Any
have
amount
taken.
is essential. Yeah.
AI, what do you think about AI? Will it replace, like, back to the jobs thing, will it replace people like crazy?
No, in fact, that will aid people in doing their work, right? So today, the way AI works, and we work on a particular kind of AI. AI is a large umbrella term. We are, like I said, we were processing documents. There is a particular organization where our system is placed in between when they ingest the document and it gives you a particular output. Now, this particular organization used to have more than a few dozen people, 25-30 people, who would just look at that document and fill an Excel sheet on a daily basis. Now, that's a very menial work, that's and monotonous. Day to day, you do the same thing. So somewhere you lose the charm of working. So there is a lot of attrition you can expect with that also. People will not want to keep on doing the same thing. So 10 months, 12 months down the line, they'll say, oh, I want to change in life. Let me look at another job. So there are two problems that came with that. One is people would leave the organization quickly. Second is that the work was at a particular pace. It was very slow, and the documents that they get are very cyclical. So 80% of the documents, for example, would come within 2 weeks of the entire year, let us say. Not 80%, but 60-70% would come within a certain time span. So suddenly the load increases a lot. Now how our system is helping there is that the document comes in, a person just has to check the data. Now an Excel sheet is auto populated. He or she just has to check the data and then make some changes and then push it. So now the work is slightly more interesting. It's more of an upgrade from what they were doing. And second is, you need lesser amount of people. So the other people can go back to doing something more smarter than what they are doing right now. Right. Now this is just one example I gave from what we do, because that's my window of perspective. But if you look at AI in general today. People who did, I mean, if you look at what brilliant things they are doing, Chat GPT, for example. Chat GPT, because of Chat GPT, earlier, and this is something someone used to tell me, that if you are in China and you want a good secretary, then you just have to look at the secretarial skills of that individual. If you are in India and you want a good secretary, you have to look at both the secretarial skills of that individual and the command over English language. Because English is, which is a secondary language, is also, to secondary language, but is also the primary means of communication. It's a secondary language for the people. That has been eliminated. I mean, that is in process of elimination, that particular aspect, because right now people who are not very conversant with English and need to write professional mails can just use chat GPT to aid them with the content, right? So in this case, did AI replace the person? No, but it greatly aided that person in being more efficient.
But aren't they just staying how they are? They're not progressing, right?
Uh, do they
Meaning
need that? I mean,
the
language is a
old
means
the
of
old
communication,
method
right?
the old method was, okay, I learn it, I go through effort and sacrifice to learn English then.
It eventually comes, I mean, a person will write 100 mails a month, right? So eventually, if he is taking such aids, just for example, they'll slowly learn with it, right? But um, it but that be but language or communication skills, for especially for people for whom that was not an essential part of their uh, skill requisition, that has been eliminated. Right now today, for example, someone in my organization who is not that conversant with English, it affected their confidence also. While writing mails, they would come to me regularly saying, is this right what I've written? Because they are not confident. Now they don't need me to tell them whether
Okay,
it is
got
right.
it.
I mean, this is a very underrated thing, but the English being second language for most people, it affects their confidence if they are, if they are not, if they are unable to, and I face a lot of concerns from clients who say that, okay, I'm not getting a response, but it's not that people don't want to respond, it's just that people are not very confident in what they write back, right? So when you put a written word, people think you are scrutinized, and this is where one thing where Chat GPT is helping. Second is making presentations. It's now aided by AI. You use I mean, there are tools which do that. You can see this particular, or Midnight, or what was that, Mid Journey, right?
For the
For
images
the
and all.
images,
Okay.
right? So it's just helping people express better. Now, if I want to kind of put a particular, if I want to visualize something, or if I want to put an image which speaks of something, I can just put it in Mid Journey, and then it'll, I can just describe it in Mid Journey, and that image will do that for me, right?
There's one question. All this AI craze is just starting, like, meaning suddenly there's so many tools. But I think, why didn't this come out earlier for I think this technology is still too basic for it to be like, oh my god. Like, I think that
Yeah.
the companies had this level of technology, like, that they were researching on 5 years, 6 years, 7 years before.
But they didn't
And
have
right
this
now they're
technology.
working on even more crazier advanced stuff.
They're working on that, but
Meaning, just think about it, like a Chat GPT thing. Like, it's, I don't know, it's too basic, I think, for these multi-billion-dollar companies. So it's a basic application.
I'm sure they have Chat GPT version 6 or something there, but they will not release it to the public, right?
Right,
Till they
that's what I'm talking
test
about,
it
yeah.
very thoroughly.
Meaning, because in like factory solutions and all, AI has been used for quite some time.
Yeah, but that's a different level of AI. Like when you speak about factory solutions, you must be talking about image processing, right?
Yeah, all those various.
So that's one type of technology. What we are seeing with ChatGPT is more conversational AI. What you are looking at so let us say in factories, if you are looking at detecting defects, there is an objectivity to it. I mean,
Yeah,
so
got it.
right. So
It's yes or no.
it's a yes or
Yeah.
no, and it's there is. I mean, believe it or not, that is slightly easier a problem to solve than answering questions like what is your purpose in life.
Chat
Yeah,
answers that.
yeah, it can. I mean,
Okay.
if you look at
Sounds
if you try interacting with Chat GPT, it'll answer your questions very beautifully. I mean, it's amazing how it can respond. You can ask it to write an essay, which is a very
yeah.
subjective thing to do, and it does it so beautifully. So that amount, so where does AI come in place is when there is some amount of um, experience. I mean, some amount of outcome that only experience can give you. Not rules can't, right? So that is where I mean the systems are becoming better and better when it comes to you know giving outcomes which do not have maybe a precedence or which do not have a rule attached to it. So
Will AI replace like suppose suppose the guy that like cuts the grass, will like those kind of machines will be there, maybe like a building that needs to be made, architect just submits the thing,
drawings.
there's machines and AI like they construct the whole thing. Do you think that's possible? There's already self-driving cars.
Yeah, it's possible.
That's insane.
It's possible. I think there is an equal amount of innovation to be done on the hardware side to make that possible. But it's definitely possible. Why not? I mean,
Hardware will change the game. Like if that kind of stuff happens, like buildings being made out of like nothing,
yeah.
no labor,
I mean, Sam Altman.
24/7 work.
That can. I think if we've seen uh, machines, right, that lay a road.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't know how accurate or how good they are, but
No, they're
you
quite
see,
good. Yeah.
right? So you've seen at some level it is there. Now that those machines need to be built, and I mean, like I was saying, the CEO of, I don't know if he's still the CEO of OpenAI, the creators of Chat GPT, Sam Altman. He came to India also sometime back. I think he's very much focused on building those hardware institutions also, which can make such systems possible. I mean, it could be anything like a robot who replaces your basic services, like you said, cleaning the garden or cutting trees or mopping or sweeping to building those huge structures. All those is there is a certain amount of physical systems that need to be built. I mean, right now you are seeing softwares. You need a hardware also to support that, right?
Why do you think Elon Musk is so scared of AI?
I don't know, honestly.
Well, what is
He's
he?
not.
What must he be thinking? He's quite like into the space. He's a leader, you could say, in AI.
Yeah. So he has infinitely more knowledge than I do in this field. I mean, but I mean, I have not really gone through his work or his opinions to probably know what he's afraid of.
Yeah, I think what he's working on, like the Neuralink, it's
Huh.
quite interesting.
Oh yes,
Do
yes.
would you get one?
If I can afford it, yes.
You would get like a Neuralink in your head.
Oh no, come to think of it, it's a bit intrusive for my taste. I mean, I don't even get a tattoo. How do I get a Neuralink?
No, it's hidden with your hair.
No, but it still is intrusive, right?
No one can notice it.
It's not about the aesthetic.
Okay.
It's still you have there's something
Okay, understood.
it's still there. It's connected to your brain, right? There's something you are making a change to your body. So that is the thing. I am not very comfortable with it, but I think that's because we have not seen that. Maybe the next generation people will
No,
think
they would
different.
definitely take it. Who would not want to automatically write essays thinking about it? The pen is moving by itself.
But I mean, I am slightly old school that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I would want that thoughts to come by my own volition than a
Yeah.
machine giving
It'll
me.
be, again, it'll be like the kind of, it happens with every generation. Like,
But is that what Neuralink does? I'm sorry, I'm not
no,
very
not the pen writing stuff. Suppose they tried it with monkeys.
right.
So they were that game is there now. Like the ball goes up and then down.
Right.
And you have to move the bar at the bottom. You hit it at the top.
Right.
So the monkeys were just controlling it with their mind. They learned how to play the game,
Okay.
and digitally they were connected to the game.
Okay.
I'll send you some demos.
Oh
And
yeah,
all.
please do, because I've really not explored that aspect so well.
They put it in like pigs also. So when it gives the pigs food,
Huh.
like it makes a certain sound
Oh, okay.
because they're like happy to get the food.
Okay.
It's complex stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's that part is scary where your thoughts are kind of now open to. I mean, someone has an access to your
Yeah.
thoughts.
And it's coming. Like we can't stop it.
Yeah.
It's the next thing. A Neuralink and a VR. Your life will be done.
But I mean, there will be positives to it also, right?
Again, everything has a positive. Like
Exactly.
this phone literally can make anybody millions of dollars. It's a,
Yeah.
it's a positive thing.
I mean, it's democratized content creation in a
Yeah,
way,
yeah, yeah.
right? And that's something I love when I watch TikTok videos or those Instagram coming from people who are living in a tier 3 city or a village, because they never had this access to be able to showcase their talent.
No, but no. Most people are just watching garbage, complete. I think that's it's a harm. It's a net harm in tier 3, tier 2, because they don't
No,
know
that is
how
the
to use this
negative. Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, that's the negative. I
उनको
mean,
पता है, उनको पकड़ा दिया है फोन कि ये लो जो ऐप खुलता है जो तुम्हें I'm seeing like 2-3-year-old kids, their parents have just given them this, and they're doing this.
that happens here also. I mean,
Anywhere,
in any
anywhere,
city,
anywhere.
right? I mean,
And
some time back I was in a social gathering, and when we were kids, I'm not sure about your age, but when we were kids, if we are 7-8 year old kids, 5-6 of us, we would be playing with each other, right? We'd any
if
game.
somebody sits alone, everybody would bully that
Yeah,
guy.
exactly. I mean, that guy would either have been bullied a lot or would have been like a pariah. But today everyone's on. All the kids meet and then they sit together and then
And they're
all of
playing
them are on the
PUBG.
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't even know what they do there now.
No, I've taken hundreds of pictures like that.
Okay.
Of kids.
And
Like,
that's in a way it is sad, but I just see they are smarter than what we were.
no, they're not smarter.
Is it?
No, they won't, because they are the attention you might be seeing with your younger employees. Is it a challenge to
Get
work
that
with
done.
them, get work done, etc.? Focus.
Uh, I don't know. I mean, it should, as in, it's just different. They are different, but
Is some if, will they be watching?
oh, I don't know. I mean, very honestly, it's just that they have different aspirations. Maybe let's put it like that. But I know that if I were more deeply involved in sitting with them and then making them do work,
Yeah.
that's not
Like
what.
one example I think of, let's say if दो लोग खाना खाने जा रहे restaurant में,
हाँ.
and they feel like while someone is talking they have to take their phone out just to see the time or whatever they see. How can they focus on a bigger work task which requires long hours of focus? How is that possible if you can't even control that much? So I think that kids are being hardwired like that
I
from
do.
a very young age.
But see, I am in, I have I mean, I see. So I have a nephew. I have a niece of of your age, right? And to begin with, and you're definitely a different generation than I am. And I see that, like at least I talk very frequently with my nephew, and he's doing an internship in an AI company right now. I mean, in machine learning right now. I see he has a very good, like he has a very good exposure, and he's got a lot of knowledge, and I do attribute it to the to the smartphones also. I mean, to a good extent. So that is, I mean, it's like this: what you have a tool in front of you, you can open Wikipedia, you can open porn, whatever you want to do, right?
Correct.
It's what you do with that matters.
Exactly.
So I mean, like I said, it democratizes content is one part of it, but it also has given people access to YouTube videos, to Khan Academy, to so many other
Yes.
things that a person sitting in a remote village, and India thankfully has internet in many places, right? I mean, I'm not to the last mile, but it still is. We have the cheapest tariff. So, so people have that access now. Of course, if they might use it, they might misuse it, they might do something productive out of it. They just might spend it on entertainment, but that access is more important.
Yeah, meaning in conclusion, this generation will have the smartest people ever because they have so much
Oh
knowledge,
yes,
and it'll have the dumbest people ever in history.
you should watch a 2009 movie. I think it was 2009 movie called Idiocracy.
Okay,
It's a brilliant movie.
what's it about?
And so that is so what it said is that the premise, and this is a beautiful premise, is that the smarter people would cope would have lesser children, and the dumber people would
Yes.
have more
Well,
children.
that's happening right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the
That
over
should be the opposite actually, because like if you are so financially successful, like you should be creating more versions of yourself. Like
but
right
I mean,
now it's like
people are
pura
not.
ulta.
I do agree that the biggest, the most effective birth control pill has been birth control, or the biggest birth control campaign has been expensive education, which is why people are having lesser number of kids. But I think the decision to not have a kid can also be because you don't want to. I mean, because you are more aware of your responsibilities. You probably don't want to take that responsibility. There are many reasons. I mean,
Yeah,
the reasons are going beyond
it's up to
financial,
them,
but
but
yeah,
like as a duty to society in large. If you are smart, you are
yeah.
rich, you
So
are successful,
you
you
get you get more kids so that they can
so they can make the world a better
world
place. The
better.
dumb guy, if he has 6, 7 children, what are they gonna do? Like,
Now,
as in,
now that you should
I'm
ask.
not saying कि
Now
like वो
that
लोग कुछ
Elon
नहीं.
Musk will agree with you. He
Yes,
has a
Elon
lot of
Musk,
kids.
that he did that right. He did
He
that
has a
right.
lot of kids.
Yeah.
So I think there is where he'll agree with you. But yeah, I mean, that is the premise of this movie, and it's a beautiful movie. You should see it. And they say that after, I think, 300 years, the world has an average IQ of say 38 or something. And how the world, and two people who are in a cryogenics chamber who are perfectly mediocre, 100 IQ, mediocre in all ways, they end up there, and they have not aged because of cryogenics, and they are the smartest people in that world.
What?
So it's, and the most interesting part is that the costume designers, when they decided when they were designing their costumes, they picked a startup which they thought will never be successful for the shoes. So they wanted to envision a world where the shoes are also very, I mean, they had their own kind of dressing, and they wanted to put some kind of funky shoes, and they got they picked this startup because they didn't want, they wanted a startup which may not succeed, which will not succeed, to build the to get the shoes, because they didn't want them to be associated. I mean, they wanted that association with those kind of shoes to remain with their film.
Okay.
That startup happened to be Crocs.
Okay. Croc started from that
No,
movie.
so Crocs was already there,
Okay.
but the filmmakers didn't think they'll be
Okay, so
Crocs will
that
be as
time it was
successful.
dumb for the dumb people.
No, they didn't think it will be they will be successful. So what they said is that to as a futuristic tool, because you have never seen Crocs, right? 90%. I mean, at that point of time, people would not have seen Crocs. So they wanted to put a very different kind of shoe as in that world, which people would never have seen earlier, and people would not see. But then destiny had something else, right? So Crocs might grew a lot after that. So it can either be a validation that what these filmmakers were thinking of the dumb people, we are actually those people. Because they thought that these dumb people will like Crocs, and we actually Crocs is a wild success. Or maybe I don't know. I mean that was the irony that So it's just an interesting trivia that they featured Crocs, thinking that this will not grow, but it's become like a mammoth.
Damn.
But yeah, you should watch that movie. It's a beautiful movie because the premise itself is so good, but the movie is also very interesting.
Done. Thank you very much.
Oh, most welcome.
Good
I
talk.
didn't realize we spent so much time.